It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show.
Welcome to the best show you'll ever know, the Dep Lewis Show, episode 84. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, July 7th, 2024. A great day for a podcast about video games and much more. So welcome to the show. Hope you're doing great out there in the world. Hope everything's been going your way. It's been a good week here, and I have some great things to report on the Dep Lewis Show today. I've completed a video game, so we're going to talk about that in the first section. We have our some great video game news, and then we're going to get into some sports as we always do. So, I'm burying the lead here, but that's what's going on here today on the Dep Lewis Show. So the first thing I want to get down to, if you could help me out more than just listening, please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, tell a friend. Email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, Patreon, and more. Clips are on YouTube and TikTok. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And then Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is the ultimate place to follow and gain access to exclusive content such as the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. And I'll tell you more about this at the end. But, you're doing the main thing here, listening to the Dep Lewis Show on your podcast platform of choice. That's the number one thing I can ask of you, and just thank you for doing that, and thank you for being here. So for today, we're going to have our three sections as always. First section will be what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone, and I've actually completed a game. So if you're a loyal Dep Lewis Show listener, you can probably count on your hand the amount of games I've completed, but maybe it takes two hands, but since I've started this show, but it's a great day for that. So I'm going to tell you about that game in the first section. So what I've been playing is the first section. The mid-section of the show will be what's going on around the video game world. So video game happenings, news, releases, and things like that. And for today, I just basically want to put you on the map. I want to put these games on the map, on your map of your calendar. And I'm going to let you know what's going on with the July 2024 video game look ahead. So I'm going to tell you what's been, some of these have already come out. And I'm going to tell you what's coming out in the rest of July that seems interesting or you might want to know about. So that'll be the main thing in the midsection. And the final section of this show today will be the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. And I think 98% of the time I choose to talk about sports in this section. So I'll just tell you about what's going on with my favorite teams. And that'll be the case today. Give you some updates of what's going on with the Panthers and the Hornets and the Hawks and the Braves. Those are my squads right there that I like to follow. All right. So we're Dep Lewis Show in here on a Sunday morning. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say. We're going to talk about a game I completed in just a minute. Just thank you for being here. I know I mentioned a bunch of places to follow me. I'm just glad you're listening to this, and I think that's going to be the main thing for a bit. I need to try to get some more listeners. I'm just going to really focus on putting out a great podcast each week, and the other things can take a little sidestep or whatever. But that's the plan. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. You're doing more than I could ask of you just by being here. So just thank you. All right. So let's talk about some video games, because that's the main thing we're here to do, talk about some video games. So I have completed, and if you've been following along this year, I've been making my way through this game this year, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that is the game from 2020, I guess, or maybe 2019, 2020. It is the first of the trilogy of the Final Fantasy VII remakes, and I have finally checked it off my list, and it is amazing. So pretty great day. I threw my hands up in triumph after completing it like a fool, and just a really, really fun game and a great ending. And I've already jumped into the next game in the sequel, so we're going to talk about that in a minute, or the next game in the sequence. So let's talk about some Final Fantasy VII Remake. So this has been a game I played back when it came out. I started it, never finished it, maybe played 10 hours or so. And I've just started this year playing it again. In the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show, I really wanted to finish it. I really wanted to start it and finish it. So I'm pretty excited to say that I did so. And I think this is the first, it's the first Japanese RPG that I've completed. I was trying to think if it's the first RPG I've completed, but I beat games like Fallout and Skyrim and things like that. But it's definitely the first RPG in this style that I've completed, and it's my first Final Fantasy game that I've completed. So that wasn't a real monkey on my back, but if I thought about it, it was a little bit of a monkey. So I've played many of the Final Fantasy VII games and never completed them. I've always thought they were really cool. I've always had more of an outside interest in them, so it's really nice to be able to have one under my belt now. And I think Final Fantasy VII seems like one of the coolest entries in the whole series, and that's why it's getting remade like this. And I had an amazing time with this game, and I think I took around 35 hours to complete it. I didn't do a whole bunch of the side stuff. I did some of it as I felt like it, but the main story was enough to keep pushing through, and I played a little bit quicker than I want to play Rebirth because I was trying to get to Rebirth. So I kind of streamlined my playthrough a little bit, but that's generally how I play games. But I did have a little more of a leaning towards, hurrying up through the game and just trying to get through it. So, or, not in a bad way, but, really just trying to see if I can ever beat one of these games was the main thing. And so I've done it. So, I'm a big RPG gamer now. The year of the RPG. The year of the RPG. I don't know. Last year, the year of survival horror, I think resulted in me realizing I don't love survival horror. And I think the year of the RPG is going the opposite way right now. So that's pretty good news to report here on the Dep Lewis Show, episode 84. So I beat this game. Well, last week, they were being mean to Red 13. I was in the area going up and down the floor, switching between Cloud and Barrett and Tifa and Aerith. Red 13 was with us. Hojo's a jerk, I wrote. Yeah, he was making us fight all sorts of crazy enemies that he was throwing at us, trying to get intel on us. I said I finally put some lightning materia on Cloud, and I never really ended up using that. And then my next note is I beat this game, one of my favorite games, onto Rebirth. So let's talk about the game a little bit. Final Fantasy VII. I've really started liking a lot of these characters from this game. Cloud, Barrett, Aerith, Tifa. I think Cloud and Tifa are probably some of my favorites. Red 13's really up there. Wedge, it's nice to see him. I'll just say that. Jesse and Biggs are really great characters. We're really great characters. A little spoilery there, but you probably played this game way longer before than I have. So Chadley doing his missions. Marlene, very cute little kid. And on the bad guys, we had Sephiroth. Sephiroth's music was amazing when you're fighting him at the ending battle. People like Rude, President Shinra, Reno, Don Corneo, Professor Hojo, Rufus, Heidegger, Scarlet, Roche. All sorts of memorable characters. I think that's a really strong selling point for this game. And there's even characters I didn't write down here that are memorable. These are just, many of these I could have remembered off top. There's a lot of great battles in this game. There's a lot of great enemies. You fight that big giant house thing. You fight the whispers at the end of the game. I mean, everything in this game is memorable. I think I missed the post-credit cutscene showing all the events, like still frames from all the most important moments in the game or something like that. But this is such a memorable game. The story is so cool. It's not like a real, I don't know. The story, it's a fantasy story, but it's just cool. There's real good character moments. I think that's some of the coolest stuff is some of the character interaction. This game is a tearjerker. I think there were some tears jerked at certain points, with some characters passing away or just certain moments, certain sweet moments. So I think the game does a really great job at that. I'm really just going all around the board here with what I like about it. But the music is another amazing thing about this game, and just super enjoyable. It super enhances the experience. And then the combat is one of the highlights of this game too. And I think that's one of the reasons I was able to get through this. I think sometimes the traditional RPG fighting has been something that's been a hurdle for me to get over, and I like the interactivity in this game along with the ability to issue commands. So I think it's really the perfect mix of that. And knowing that I have a whole nother game in Rebirth to do the same thing and learn more about it, I think that's really, really amazing. So I think it's been a good, that was a great experience. I think this is definitely, I have some other good games I've completed earlier in the year from prior years, like Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and I finished the Spider-Man 2, I think it was. Maybe a few other ones, but I think this immediately goes up to the top of the list. I like to rank, I always rank the current year games, what's the best of the year, but I've started ranking last year what's my favorite game from a prior year. So I think this is definitely going up to the top of the list. This is going up there for one of my favorite video games of all time, and it's got me pretty invested in wanting to know more about Final Fantasy, and I've already been doing some YouTube watching and internet sleuthing about what to do, but I'm playing Rebirth now, so that is the main thing. So that's the main thing. So I'm going to talk about Rebirth in just a minute, but I guess I want to get some more Final Fantasy VII Remake thoughts out. I want to know more about Zack. He's the character introduced towards the end. You see him and he looks really cool. He kind of looks like he could be Cloud's twin brother or something like that, or Cloud's cousin or something like that, and he seems really cool. He seems to have more of like an upbeat, kind of happy personality compared to Cloud, so that seems neat. And I've learned that Crisis Core, the game from PSP that has been remastered for current consoles, is a game centered around Zack, so I think I'm going to want to play that at some point. I don't know when. I think that game that game got an overhaul to make it basically look like Final Fantasy VII Remake from what I'm seeing. So pretty amazing. I want to definitely add that to my collection at some point and put it on the list of things to play. But I really want to get through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth next is the main goal, because if you play any of these other, I guess playing Crisis Core simultaneously wouldn't hurt. But I've thought about playing Final Fantasy VII, getting the original version to see what it looks like, and I still might do so, but I need to be cognizant of where to stop, because I want to play. I don't want to be spoiled in the cool new versions that I'm playing these remasters. So I've thought about playing Final Fantasy VII. I think you can play around 3 hours in, is what I've heard, and get to the ending of the first game. So I think it's right when they leave Midgar. So a pretty good cutoff point. And it would be cool to see how the game was back in the day. And I did see that game was on sale on PlayStation for $6.99. So I think I'm talking myself into it right now as we're talking through it. But Final Fantasy VII, amazing game. So I definitely think this is one of my favorite video games of all time. That's you sometimes say that coming off of completing something you really like, but I think it could hold true. I've been currently running Last of Us 2 as my favorite game of all time, and it's been 5 years, I guess, since that game, or 4 years. So I don't know. I think it's up there. I think it's close. I think the characters are more impactful in here. I think I possibly like the combat more than The Last of Us 2, but I don't even know. I don't like down talking Last of Us 2 either as I'm doing this, because I'm thinking about Ellie, I'm thinking about Joel, I'm thinking about the combat there being pretty fun, but I don't know. Both amazing games, and I just think it's up there in the argument for me now is what I'm saying. So at some point, I'm gonna create that list and present it here on the podcast just for fun's sake, but I gotta quit the but ums. That's me trying to really think about what I'm trying to say, or trying to see where I'm gonna go next with my thoughts. So I gotta quit that. All right, but Final Fantasy VII is complete. So really into the Final Fantasy VII world. Thinking about Crisis Core, thinking about going to play Final Fantasy VII, the original, playing it up to the portion to complete the first game. But other than that, I've moved on to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I've started this. This is the second entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project. It retells the story of the genre-defining RPG across 3 distinct games. That's what the whole thing's doing. Iconic heroes like Cloud, Barret, Tifa, Aerith, and Red 13 have escaped from the dystopian city Midgar and are now in pursuit of Sephiroth, the vengeful swordsman from Cloud's past who was thought to be dead. So the beginning of this game, some things I immediately noticed, it's a lot more colorful. You start battling outside in the first time, but then you end up going to some industrial reactor kind of stuff. So it goes back to some Final Fantasy like you'd expect. But you get to start off playing as Sephiroth, and I guess there was a demo for this game, so I was having a little bit of deja vu playing this, but I played part of the demo until I put it down, and I think I just went right back to Final Fantasy VII Remake. But you get to play as Sephiroth at the beginning, which is really neat. It's retelling the beginning of this game. Rebirth is doing some traveling to the past and getting some different time frames like put in front of you. So it's a little bit confusing, but I think I'm up to speed with what it's doing. The end of the remake game is basically all the battlers, Red 13, Aerith, Barret, Tifa, Cloud, they're all okay. They have fought the Whispers. They have changed destiny, and Sephiroth has gone away again, defeated sort of, but he's gone away to go cause some more trouble. And they're saying that they're all going to go on the hunt for him. So that was kind of the end of the first game, and then the beginning of the Rebirth doesn't actually start like right after that. So it's giving you some questions. It's weaving some stories through here, but it's really, really cool. And it gives you I don't know how far the demo goes to, but it's that whole intro section, but it gives you a really great start to this game. You get to learn some more about Sephiroth and Cloud's relationship. You get to see Tifa as she's young, and you get to see Cloud's where he's from, so where him and Tifa are from, and then you get to see the horror that happens and why Sephiroth has become such a enemy, because there's been this whole thing of where he seems like they're friends, they seem like they know each other, but they're also mortal enemies at this point, and you get to learn why, and it's pretty brutal. So the beginning of this game is pretty brutal. It's a great start to a video game. I mean, oh my gosh. And now you're basically on the hunt for Sephiroth again. So, and you're still trying to go through with what Cloud's dealing with. Is he seeing the reality? Is everyone able to see what he's seeing? A lot of mind stuff going on there with Cloud that's interesting. And then you have Tifa, and I'm trying to think what else. Aerith seems a little more aloof. She's kind of had some of her stuff erased from the Whispers, some of her knowledge erased by the Whispers. And then Red 13's there holding it down. So Red 13 is a great, just a great character. And he has a nice moment of levity. And here he makes kind of a joke at a opportune time and just much needed. And at the point I'm at right now, Cloud and Tifa are fighting. So that's kind of hard to see because, they're such good friends. And, they're going, the point they're fighting, they're going to be friends long past that. So it's just rough to see. They're not communicating very well. But they have an interesting dynamic and relationship, just like all these characters do. So this game is amazing. I think it's the main focus of what I'm trying to play right now. It's top of my list, playing some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So it's nice to be into some games from 2024. I played a few other 2024 games, but not too many. And the Final Fantasy VII train, I'm conducting this train right now. So if you want to hop on board, I'm late to the tracks, but I'm running my train super hard into the ground. So Final Fantasy VII, an amazing video game, and that is probably the oldest news in the book. But to me, I just completed it, and I really, really like it a whole lot. I love it. I guess I would even say, as far as video games go, I love it. It's a great video game. So I'm excited to be playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That is the main plan, and I'm going to be reporting back to you on this show as I always do. Maybe I'll talk some more about Final Fantasy VII later on as a some type of exercise, talking about my favorite games of all time, because I think it needs to be inserted in that conversation. And having a running list of my favorite games ever would be a cool thing to have. And even if I just read once a month, I've read my top 10 on the show, I could keep you up to date with what I think is really, really cool, and it gives you a good insight into what kind of video games I like. And you can get an idea if you would have similar tastes. I was also thinking that I like to immediately throw, Last of Us 2, I say that's my favorite video game of all time. But there's other games like Mario Galaxy, Skyrim, Morrowind, Tony Hawk 3, NBA Live 2003, all sorts of video games. The Last of Us, some of the Uncharted, some of the Mass Effects, all sorts of games that could go up there. And I sometimes try to think of, favorite story game of all time. So I think that's kind of a little bit more of an interesting list, but I don't know. I kind of think I ultimately need to combine them, but those are some of my thoughts thinking about it. So, I really like games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, Last of Us, Uncharted. These are all kind of action story kind of games. And I'm trying to think about Ratchet and Clank, but then I also like games like, I've liked sports games. I've liked Splatoon. I've liked Animal Crossing. I'm trying to think of other favorite games of all time. Of Call of Duty, Halo. And there's a million, Spelunky. There's a million games like that. So I don't know. It's definitely more fun probably try to combine them. But I kind of have a running list of my favorite story games, and I think Final Fantasy VII is at the top of that, and with Last of Us. But I need to get my thoughts together on that, and that could be a fun topic on the show at some point. But there's my Final Fantasy VII update. I completed a remake, and I'm on to Rebirth. So I'm very excited, and I'll be keeping you up to date on this show as I always do. So some other things I've been playing, which are very fun too. I've been playing Metroid Prime Remastered. I don't really have any strong goals with this. I've never completed this game before. This is my first stab at it, and I'm really liking the intro. I've got some of my abilities back, so I guess with most Metroid or Metroidvania games, you get stripped of your powers pretty early on. You have to reclaim them, and that'll allow you to get into different areas, and it's been fun. I've been trying to take it a little bit slow. The game's pretty good at telling you what to do, which is nice, and has a really good map in the game, which is really cool. The game looks amazing. This is a really great looking game on the Switch, which is just very impressive. So I've heard people say this is it's almost an 8-year-old console running it's like an Android phone, but they can do some really amazing things with it, and they have done some amazing things with it. And this is a great example. And this is a video game that's $39.99 for USDs for the remaster. It's been on sale recently. Just a really great game. This is going to be I don't know what the straw that broke the camel's back for me on Metroidvanias. I think I would like to complete this game before I give a stab at any more Metroidvanias. It's been a whole thing that I've tried a million Metroidvanias. I've tried some Metroid games before even, and I've never completed one. And I always kind of fall off early in when I get lost or don't know what to do. And this one, I think it's a perfect game to try to introduce myself to a genre and see if I actually like it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll never end up pushing through this, but I think it's a good exercise, and I've done it kind of recently with a few games where, if I can get through this one, it's a game I already own, then maybe I'll start exploring some more. Maybe quit buying some of these other Metroids and falling off them. So that's a little bit my plan there. Don't have any strong plans to complete Metroid Prime Remastered, but I'm playing it. I've been having some fun with it, and I think it's really, really cool. So you could possibly hear me talking more about that on this show. And another game I've been playing is Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, I believe it's called, but the new Monkey Ball from this year. I've just been trying to complete the story. I've been doing some time attacks. I'm really loving this game. I think I said last week, this is one of those games where it makes me actually move my body in real life, like trying to get my monkey ball in the correct spot. So it's really fun and kind of, I don't know, it just really gets you immersed. You have to be very focused playing this game, and some of the stuff and the movement of the stage is just really cool, and it moves very fast and quick, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. So it's a really, really fun game. This is something I definitely want to just run through the story and try to do some of the time attacks. And if there's ever a multiplayer setting where I'm hanging with some friends that want to play games, this would be a great game for that scenario. So Monkey Ball is definitely a great game for this year. I think I was talking when I first got it, it's going to be it was up there for Game of the Year, but I definitely think it's up there on the list. I think Rebirth is going to be really, really hard to beat with what I'm seeing early on and how much I love Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I think that is where the Game of the Year is tracking right now. Blattro's been up there, and I haven't really played too many other games from this year, but I played a few more, but we're going to talk about that later, because this has been a little bit of a ramble session here on these video games. But I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is that good, and I should talk about it more in a different setting. Maybe I'll do a freestyle show about it or something like that. So I think that's a good idea here. I'm making it in real time. But let's see here. So those have been the main games I've been playing. Final Fantasy VII Remake, completed that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is now my main game. Metroid Prime Remastered, played some of that. And I've been playing some Super Monkey Ball, the new Monkey Ball release. So it is the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. That's what I've dubbed it. I've completed Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I am now on to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. My other goal is to complete Super Mario RPG, which I'm pretty close to doing so. And I need to really get on that. Would be nice, so I can have the great feeling like I did when I completed Final Fantasy VII Remake. But I keep going through the argument now of maybe I don't like the top-down, older style RPGs. Maybe that's not the brand I like. So I've tried games like Octopath, Live Alive, and I've tried that demo. I've tried older RPGs, Super Mario RPG. I'm even hitting a little bit of a wall there. Sea of Stars. So I don't know. I'm seeing some commonalities here, but there's also, never been a better time to complete one of these. So I'm pretty close to the ends, and I've been enjoying 80% of that game, I would say, like a whole lot. And the plan there is to go on to Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door Remake, which is a game I do have some familiarity with, but that's been many, many years since I played some of that, and I would like to get back into it. So those are the main legs of the year of the RPG right now. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I would love to be able to complete that game this year. That's a valid goal for me, because I'm not someone who completes games generally too quick, but it would be amazing to be able to finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth before Astrobot in September. It's kind of a soft goal, and something I think would be really great for me to do, because it would be nice to be able to play Astrobot or be waiting on Astrobot and devote my full attention to playing that, because that is something that I fell in video game love with earlier in the year as well. So really excited for that. And those are my video game thoughts. I got a lot of great video game thoughts of what's going on with me recently. Been really, really happy about Final Fantasy VII. It's been nice to have something like that. You go in waves and phases of video games, and just really, really high on this one right now, and it's really, really fun, and I got more to play, and that's just very cool. So just hooray for me is what I'm saying. So hopefully you're playing some of these. Hopefully you'll enjoy some of these games, or you've been playing some good games yourself. So that's what I've been playing. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to hear some music, and we're going to come back for the midsection of the show. I'm going to tell you about what's going on around the video game world. So enough about me, enough about my video gaming. I'm just going to tell you about what I think is cool going on out there you might be interested in, and that is the main plan. So go take a quick break and come back in just a second for the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 84, after this. Welcome back to the midsection of the best show you'll ever know, Dep Lewis Show. This is where I tell you about what's going on around the video game world. So all the recent happenings and things I think you might find interesting. So I want to tell you a few games. I guess these have been announced, but there's just maybe been some more information about them. I'll tell you about a few of those, and then I want to get into a July 2024 video game look ahead. So I'm going to tell you what's coming out in July that might trip your trigger. And let's see here. So the first thing I want to tell you about is Crazy Taxi Reboot. So these first few games aren't coming out in July. I just want to tell you about some video game news. But the Crazy Taxi Reboot, Sega's describing this as an open world, massively multiplayer AAA game. Driving game series that first appeared in arcades in 1999 before ports to consoles such as the Dreamcast made it popular in homes. You're a taxi driver who delivers passengers to their destinations and performing stunts to earn points along the way. So this was announced during the Game Awards 2023. Sega announced this along with new games in the Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, and Golden Axe and Streets of Rage franchises. It was basically just a trailer showing that these games, these beloved games, are coming back to the new age or whatever. So I don't know if there's been any new information on this, but I think maybe the news about Sega describing this as an open world, massively multiplayer AAA game is some news there. So just want to keep you up to date on Crazy Taxi Reboot. That was really a big game from back in the PS2 days in my memory. I don't really have too much history playing that. I didn't have a PlayStation 2 at that point, but I just remember that game being all the rage, as you would say. And the reboot is going to be something a lot of people are looking towards, and seems like it's going to be a hard one to execute on just from the outside looking in. It's been a long time since that franchise has been popular. I think some of the basic mechanics from the game are nice and easy to comprehend, which could go for it, but they're going to be playing the game of hitting nostalgia with the old fans and bringing in new fans, so that can be tough sometimes, and it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. This won't be one I want to pick up day one, but I'll be interested to see how a lot of these remasters and this one turns out to be from Sega. So it looks pretty cool. Just wanted to keep you up to date. Crazy Taxi Reboot, keep that in your mind. Another one to keep in your mind is Resident Evil 9. So Capcom has confirmed that the next entry in the storied survival horror franchise is now in development. So I think most people probably could have guessed that. If you had to guess if Capcom was going to make another Resident Evil, I think 99% of people would say yes, but they have officially confirmed it, so that's nice. That's one step in the process to getting the game. Development will be led by Resident Evil 7 Biohazard director Koshi Nakanishi, who confirmed the new sequel in the course of talking about the previous game's mobile release. And he said it was really difficult to figure out what to do after Resident Evil 7. And then he also said, but I found it, and to be honest, it feels substantial. I can't share any details just yet, but I hope you're excited for the day I can. So a pretty good teaser right there, Mr. Nakanishi. And he is the Resident Evil 7 director from 2017. Also did some Mercenaries 3D for the Nintendo 3DS and the first Resident Evil Revelations game. He also served as a designer on Resident Evil 5. So he definitely has a lot of experience. And Resident Evil is another franchise. I never completed a game in this franchise. Well, no, that's not true. I've completed Resident Evil 5, I believe it was. And I might have completed that game multiple times. Let me check here live on the show. Resident Evil 5, on Xbox One. I played it multiplayer with the great King Tut, who we talk about on the show sometimes, friend of the show. So that is one game I've completed. That's, pat on the back to me. I've completed some games. I've been completing some more recently, so I'm changing the narrative a little bit out here. All right, but Resident Evil 9 has been confirmed in development. Just wanted to tell you that on this show today. All right, another thing I want to keep in your mind before we get into a July 2024 video game look ahead. This other game is called UFO 50. And this is interesting because it is from the Spelunky Studios, Moss Mouth. So Moss Mouth is developing and publishing this game. It has a planned release date of September 18, 2024. And the game is a collection of 50 single and multiplayer games that span a variety of genres, from platformers and shoot-'em-ups to puzzle games, roguelites, and RPGs. They're saying their goal is to combine a familiar 8-bit aesthetic with new ideas in modern game design. So initially, this doesn't look like something I'd want to play. It's a collection of, what do they call them? Just call them single and multiplayer games. So like a collection of mini games, sort of. But I also trust the Spelunky Studios a whole lot. I don't know anything else from them besides Spelunky, but Spelunky is definitely, like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite games of all time. They really executed well with Spelunky 2. I do think I like Spelunky 2 better than Spelunky 1. So I think that's an amazing thing. I'd be kind of interested in anything that they do at this point, kind of like the Vampire Survivors developer Ponkel or Concerned Ape. I think they really just nailed video gaming in such a special way with their initial release, or I don't know if that was all of their initial releases, but their huge mega hit from an indie platform, and just definitely worth the attention. So that's why I'm talking about it here on the show. It's something I've remember hearing about a couple times and just kind of forgot what it was. So I wanted to write it down and figure out what it was so I can keep it on my radar as well. So that's a little bit of what goes on here in this midsection as well. It's hopefully helping myself and hopefully helping you out there if you love some video games. A lot of video game love on this podcast today. If I name the episode something besides just Dep Lewis Show, I'd name it, Dep Lewis Show episode of love or something, talking about these video games. But now let's talk about a July 2024 video game look ahead. So, tell you about what's going on in July. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. There's 5 games I want to tell you about. There's possibly one of these that I'll purchase, but that's even kind of questionable. So, July seems like a great month for me to play a lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But there's been a release already. This game released on July 2nd, 2024. So, released last week, and that is an update to Final Fantasy XIV Online. They have a new expansion called Dawntrail. So this released on July 2nd for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, and PC. The expansion is $39.99 US. They're touting blue seas, clear skies, and boundless possibilities await in Dawntrail, the newest expansion pack for the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy XIV Online. Explore uncharted territories with familiar faces as you discover new tribes, confront formidable threats, and expand your horizons as hope light dawns once more. So even thinking about this, I've downloaded this and just never played it, but I should try and give this a try. Now that I'm all trying to be down the Final Fantasy hype train, this seems like it could be cool. There's definitely a free trial. I think you can play for a couple hours to see if you like it. I can make a character. I can see what the world's all about. I've never really been into like massive multiplayer online games, but if it's a Final Fantasy thing that I can play and jump in and out of from time to time, it keeps me in the Final Fantasy world even after I complete games like Rebirth and Crisis Core and the old Final Fantasy VII original and maybe Final Fantasy VI. I got a lot of plans here. Maybe even some Final Fantasy 15. Maybe even some Final Fantasy 16. You never know. I'm really going kind of crazy here, but Final Fantasy 14 Online Dawntrail expansion pack is out right now, so please go check that out. I think I've heard good things about it. I've kind of heard a lot of good things about Final Fantasy 14 Online, and I think Dawntrail seems very cool. There's been a lot of updates to this game, and go check it out. I might do it as well. Maybe this will just become a Final Fantasy podcast. All right, so there's a game coming out in July. It's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, and there are 2 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games that are being released this year, so it was confusing me. And it's still confusing me here. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate has been released on other platforms, I believe is the case. And the news here is that this game is releasing on July 17, 2024 for Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I think the news here is that it's new to Switch. I think it comes to consoles later. Can't tell. This is confusing. But for this game, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, when Splinter is kidnapped by Shredder, mysterious portals simultaneously appear across New York City. With April and Metalhead analyzing recovered artifacts for clues, the Turtles battle to recover their father from the clutches of the Foot Clan. However, as the gang gets ever closer to Splinter's otherworldly location, an even greater threat lingers in the shadows. So in Splintered Fate, brace yourself for fast-paced roguelike action where no 2 runs are the same. With randomized power-ups, room layouts, and boss modifiers, the excitement never ends. Take control of all 4 turtles, each wielding unique powers, and team up with friends for bodacious co-op gameplay. Explore iconic New York City locations, upgrade your turtle powers, and prepare to face off against formidable enemies. So I think they lost me at the roguelike. I think that's a little bit overdone these days. I think every franchise is trying to shoehorn a roguelike element or create a whole roguelike game based on their franchise, and I don't think that's necessary, or I don't think it's necessary to play all of them. But I just wanted to bring this game up. I keep seeing these TMNT releases, and I think they're confusing. I think they got a naming issue here, because it is really confusing. They have the Cowabunga collection. That's, I guess, a defining name because tells you what it is. But I don't know. I don't know what they could do. I mean, Splintered Fate is the thing you need to know by that game to differentiate it. And then the next game that actually comes out in October. So this isn't a July look ahead, but I'm just telling you this because we've been talking about TMNT Splintered Fate. This one is TMNT Mutants Unleashed. So this is a game that comes out this year. It releases for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. It's also, I don't know how much Splintered Fate is, but this one's $39.99 US dollars, and there's also $199.99, so $200 special edition if you're interested in that. So I think this seems like the premier release of the year for this for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. And they're telling you here, welcome to the streets of New York City, where the best pizza and human mutant chaos reigns. It's up to the Turtle Brothers to restore the peace in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Unleashed. So New Mutants, or as the Turtles coined them, Mubies, I guess like noobs, have been doing well to be accepted by the citizens, but that all changed when some mutants began wreaking havoc. From the sewer to the skyscrapers, no corner is safe from the mess oozing through the city. It's got TCRI Corporation written all over it. Now it is up to the Fearless Four to unleash their unique ninja skills and stop the madness before the human-mutant relationship they worked for goes down the drain. Use the adrenaline pumping through your veins to save the city and enlist the help of April and Splinter. Whether you're a seasoned ninjutsu master or a ninja in training, you can get through this new action-packed brawler game playing solo or in local co-op mode, set in the Mutant Mayhem universe that's filled with action, humor, and nostalgia. So, doing some Ninja Turtle stuff. It seems like Splintered Fate, you're fighting the portals. It seems like Mutant Unleashed, you're fighting the ooze. But there's some, I'm sounding really negative on the Turtles, but I'm just confused. I was confused by those two releases. But if you're a Turtle fan, those games are coming out. I'm somewhat of a Turtle fan. I like Turtles in Time, and I like, I guess it's called Shredder's Revenge. I played some of that, so I think that game's really, really fun. And I do like the Turtles in general. But, go check those games out. One of those comes out in July. So we're doing the July look ahead. So that one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. All right, so two more games that come out in July that I think are of note. The next one is Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. This releases July 18th, 2024 for Nintendo Switch. It'll cost you $29.99 US if you'd like to purchase this, and you can test your speedrunning skills across more than 150 challenging moments from 13 classic NES games. Compete against players around the world online, challenge your friends on the couch, or try to see how far you can push your personal best. So even talking about, we talked about UFO 50 a little bit earlier. Seems a little bit like that, or seems in that vein of a video game. So I don't know if this is generally something I'm interested in, but I do like the $29.99 price tag. I like a little bit of the online leaderboard, and leaderboard stuff's pretty fun. So it just kind of depends on these games in this package, but sort of interesting. Maybe if it goes on a sale one day, I'd be interested in buying it. And I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever really been into collections of stuff. I have that Rare collection on the Xbox. I've thought about buying the Metal Gear Solid collection, but not too much. Not something I normally utilize. But Nintendo World Championship NES Edition coming out July 18th, 2024. And I guess I wonder, based on this game, if we get an SNES Edition one, I wonder if it is dependent on the sales of this game, if they're going to make the SNES edition, or if they already have the SNES edition in the works. I guess I would probably lean towards that. I think they're probably not that reactionary towards the sales. They probably already kind of have an expectation of what the sales will be. So I guess that's my guess talking through it right now on the show. All right, and the last release for July I want to tell you about is something I might consider buying, and that is EA Sports College Football 2025. And that releases July 19th, 2024 for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, so only the new modern consoles. Experience explosive gameplay variety across 134 schools and immerse yourself in the iconic atmosphere of college football as you chase college greatness. So I think I said on previous episodes, I have some nostalgia for this game, playing them back in the day when there was not as many video game releases throughout the year. You'd want to buy college football, and then about a month later, you'd want to buy Madden. And a lot of times you would trade in college football to get Madden. And there was just this cycle of video game life back in the day. So this game hasn't been out for 14 years, I believe it is. So it's going to have a pretty triumphant return. I know a lot of people are excited for this. This one crosses, just like nerdier video gamers like myself. This one goes more to, across the whole world. This will get people who don't follow games on a regular or don't play games on a regular will be wanting to buy this game and possibly buying consoles and things like that to play this. So I really do think, I guess if this game's not being released on PS4 or Xbox One, if it's only modern consoles, I think this will get a lot of people to jump in. So could be a good time for an Xbox Series S sale for Xbox and get some people in there buying those consoles that really just want to play this one game. I think there's going to be a decent market of people that are going to want to do that. So going to be a big release. Hopefully they can execute and make a good video game. I think I want to at least wait to hear about it. I think King Tut, who I mentioned, friend of the show, mentioned him earlier. I think he's buying this day one, so I can get some feedback from him. He said he wants to create a player and win 4 Heismans or something like that. And I just want to see if any other of my friends pick it up and might want to possibly play some head-to-head. I think that's where I might get into it. But I think it's definitely worthy of a follow. So EA Sports College Football 2025 releases on July 19th, 2024. So just a little bit over a week away. So that's all I got for you today in the midsection. We've had all our big showcases for the summer. We talked about all those and loved those. And so now we're just kind of into the regular flow of things. So that's all the news and release stuff I have for you today. So we talked about the Crazy Taxi reboot. I just want to keep that in your mind. That's coming out at some point. And they're calling it a AAA game. So I think that was the new bit of new information there. Resident Evil 9 is confirmed to be in development. And then UFO 50 is releasing in September. That's the game from Moss Mouth Studios. So that's the Splunky Studios, if you want to call them that. So I want to keep that in your brain, that those are coming out. And then we did a July 2024 video game look ahead. We talked about Final Fantasy 14 Online Dawntrail. That's the new expansion that's out right now. We talked about the release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. That comes out in July. And then we also talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants Unleashed, which comes out in October. And then we talked about Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, releases July 18th, 2024. And then we talked about EA Sports College Football 25. That releases July 19th, 2024. So that is what's going on around the video game world. Hopefully you found some of that interesting or informative. And that's going to wrap up the midsection of the show today. So we're going to come back for one final section after some music. That's going to be the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. And I'm just going to get into the worldwide world of sports today, as I always do and like to do. So that is the plan. So thank you for listening to all the video game talk this week. I hope you play a lot of great video games in the upcoming week, and I'll be back next week to tell you about all the things I've been playing and seeing. So come back after this music and listen to the Miscellaneous Talk section. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to the final section of the best show you'll ever know, Dep Lewis Show, episode 84. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So let's just get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. So a little bit of a status check-in with the greatest teams in the universe. So the first one of the great teams is the Carolina Panthers. The only thing I have to report there is they opened the season at New Orleans September 8th, 2024, and it's 1 p.m. on Fox. So I think that's probably going to be about all the news I have on them till training camp opens. I'll have to report some sad injury, or I even read an article today saying that they should trade Shaq Thompson, since they're paying him a decent salary and he would be desirable by other teams, and he's coming off an injury and he's about to be 30. Just some really shiesty stuff there with, trying to. And they were saying, and they're also saying in that same article that he's the second player from the Super Bowl attempt roster. So I don't know. I hate when the teams are getting all the older players out of town and bringing in a new team, and it's just they've done a lot of that already. So just to talk about doing more of it is not too surprising, and it's just like, come on, man, just say it about all the players, pretty much. Might as well. That's a real got negative there on the Panthers thing, but just ready for the new season. Hopefully they can make some progress, and seen a lot of Bryce Young stuff out there throwing the ball, hanging with the receivers. So I think that stuff's cool, and we'll see what the Panthers have in store for us this season. Another team I follow just because I live in North Carolina is the Charlotte Hornets. Summer League has started, so that's what's going on around the basketball world right now. And then Brandon Miller from the Hornets has been named to the 2024 USA Basketball Men's Select Team. So I think he's my favorite Hornet at this point. He had a great rookie season, really fun to watch. I like his style of game, and Brandon Miller he's been an excellent pick for the Hornets. So, hopefully his trajectory will keep on going up and up, and get the other guys around him, get LaMelo out there playing, and maybe be a fun team to watch. So that's the hope. My favorite basketball team, though, is the Atlanta Hawks. The DeJounte Murray trade's official today. I'm still not happy about that. I've sold myself on being excited for Dyson Daniels coming back in the trade. He's a young player who's really good at on-the-ball defense. I think that's something they could use. And they've got some picks, which is nice, but I'm still going to miss DeJounte. I still think they need to replace him. I don't know I wrote the Hawks stink. I don't know what I think. I mean, I guess their starting lineup should be something like Trey. I'm trying to think. Trey, Bogey, Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, and Capella. And they got Okongwu. I'm trying to think who else they have. I'm probably missing a few of them. Garrison Matthews come in and shoot some threes. They now have Dyson Daniels. They don't really have that many spots to fill, but I don't know. I don't know if you can have Bogey, Jalen Johnson, and Hunter on the floor at the same time with Trey, but I don't know. I don't know how they're going to run their lineup this year. I think they still need to pick up one more player possibly, but I don't know if they're going to do so. I don't know if they're going to trade Trey even. So it seems like some of that stuff's been dying down of the trade talks, but you never know. And I don't know. I don't know. Not too excited about the Hawks. They're putting a lot of money in basically just the Trae Young. They've, taken away stuff from the team. So I don't know. I don't know what I think about the Hawks. Not the best place to say I don't know, but that's just kind of my overall thoughts on the Hawks. I really don't know what kind of direction they've been in for a long time, and I've been expressing that recently on this show. So Hawks, whatever. Dyson Daniels, I'm excited for him to come be a Hawk. I saw we got Cody Zeller in that trade too after making it official, and I was kind of hoping Brandon Ingram would come over, but that's not happening. All right, so my favorite baseball team in the universe, the Atlanta Braves. I'm going to tell you about what's been going on with them since last week. They played last week. Yeah, last week was the 11:30 a.m. Sunday game, so I think I finished recording right before that, but they lost to the Pirates that day 4-2, so, sad day there to end the week. And then this current week, the current past week that's happened, there was no game Monday, and they, no, maybe there was. No, they lost to the Giants on Tuesday. I guess they won the next one and lost Thursday. And then the Braves have moved on to the Phillies for the weekend. They lost to the Phillies Friday, and they won Saturday last night, and they will play the Phillies again today at 1:35. So the Braves are 48-39 before this game today. That's 8th best in the MLB, and they are 9 back from the Phillies in the division, though. So I was thinking, they really should have been making some work on these Phillies here. They got one against them, but they lost the first one. So I really would love the Braves to win today. That'd be nice. Next week, the Braves go to the Diamondbacks Monday through Thursday, so out in Arizona. And then Friday through Sunday, they're in San Diego against the Padres. So the Braves are on a West Coast swing, away trip all week, right before the All-Star break. So I think the All-Star game is that following Monday. So I think it's next on the 15th as the start of the All-Star festivities. So it'll be nice for the Braves to get a break, kind of regroup before the second half of the season. I think they've been making a little bit of some positive effort here right to close it out, where they were on a downswing before. So I think it's tracking okay that way. But I think the break is going to be well-timed and well-needed. So, go Braves this week. Hopefully they can close out with some wins and, close out with a win against the Phillies today would be nice. So that's all the sports updates I have for you today. Just a lot of baseball. Haven't had any good luck on the sports books betting the baseball lately. Nothing good to report there. I've been watching a lot of teams. There was a lot of blowouts over the weekend. A lot of 13-3 and a lot of big crazy scores. So I'm trying to think if that is a normal trend before the All-Star break, if we start seeing a little more kind of wacky baseball stuff going on, because that's just been the case. The Orioles got walloped by the A's yesterday. The Yankees have been really, really slumping. There's just been some weird stuff going on around the baseball world, and I'm just trying to decide what teams are good. I really think the Phillies are good. I think the Braves still have a chance, and I don't know. I don't know what I think about the Brewers, the Royals, the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox. Who else is up there? Let me look. I'll pull it up right now. Give you some more of my baseball thoughts on who I think is good, because it's been a little bit crazy recently. Standings. Yeah, the Orioles. Like I just said, the Guardians, they've been getting beat some too. But, these are all the teams with the best records. The Twins are really sneaking up there. Maybe there's something to watch, because I don't really have too much hate for the Twins. I haven't really seen them fumbling too much. Maybe that's a team to look at. The Red Sox have been surging. Mariners have been staying up there. Man, the Padres have been surging. Okay, so some of the teams that have been dropping down. Yeah, the Pirates are up there early. The Reds are up there early. The Rangers. Yeah, the Rangers are really in the bottom half. So I'm just rambling about baseball. But favorite sport. Love the baseball. Excited for a week of Braves baseball, and then get the All-Star break, and that should be fun. And then on to the second half of the season, which I think the Braves really, really need to get hot. So that's the plan. So thank you for listening to my sports talk today, and then thank you for listening to the entire show. That's going to wrap up the Miscellaneous Talk section. They're going to wrap up the entire show. So I'd like to reiterate some promotional stuff from the beginning, which I'm going to try to read through like I am doing an auction. So please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, turn on notifications, tell a friend. Going once, going twice, going thrice. Sold. To email any questions or feedback to DepLewisShow@gmail.com. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, Patreon, and more. Clips are on YouTube and TikTok. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. And then Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is the ultimate place to follow. I'm going to tell you about the Patreon here. $1 a month for the ground floor tier for the first 100 patrons. With this tier, you will gain access to an additional podcast exclusive to Patreon called the Dep Lewis Freestyle Show. This is a podcast without a plan that has a freestyle schedule. It's a great way to get additional content and support the show. After the first 100 patrons, the regular price for this tier will begin. Ground floor tier pricing will never change and will gain access to all Dep Lewis Show Patreon content always. So thank you for any support. So as I was talking about earlier in the show, putting the podcast out is the main event here. I do get some listens on the podcast, nothing insane. I would love to get more listens, but maybe I should pull back on some of these other things because they're not really being too successful. I don't think any of my clips have been successful. I don't think my Patreon's been successful. I'm trying to think what else has not been really hitting so hard. I haven't had any success streaming really. The main thing I want to do is podcast and talk about video games or sports and the things I'm interested in. So that's what I'm doing here on the show every week. And I think I'm just going to really, really focus on that. I haven't really been seeing any traction on these other things. I don't think that's negative to anybody. This is a new podcast. I'm talking about specific things on here. But overall, I think this is a podcast a lot of people will enjoy, and I would love them to listen to it. So that's what I'm really going to focus on. So if you see some of those other maybe I'm going to change up some of this intro talk. Maybe that's a good note to myself here. Really change some of this intro talk, change some of this outro talk. Maybe I shouldn't be shouting out these platforms I'm not really getting too much traction on. So just something to think about and get an inside look at what a great time for me to think about this and express it on the show. But just thank you for supporting. If you'd like to go support me on any of those platforms, I would love for you to follow me and watch out. But just thank you for listening to this podcast. That's the main thing. If you'd like to support with some hard-earned cash, please go to Patreon. I think that's the best place available to do that at the moment. And just thank you for supporting the show. I'll be back next week. I enjoy doing this so much, and thank you for being the listener. Hope you have a great week out there in the world. Play some video games, and I'm going to keep going down the Final Fantasy rabbit hole, and I'll be back next week to report where I'm at in that rabbit hole. So have a great week out there, and just thanks as always, and I'll see you next week.